Hello and welcome to Hudson Road's reading workshop for parents and guardians of children in reception, Year 1 and Year 2. My name is Miss Ramsey. If you don't already know who I am currently a Year 2 teacher and I am acting as the Key Stage 1 Phonics lead at the moment. I've been at Hudson Road for a number of years now, and I'm really passionate about reading, so I'm very excited to be leading on this one. The big aim of this workshop is to support you in helping your child learn to read and to explain about how we're going to be teaching reading at Hudson Road going forward. The way that we're teaching reading is changing a bit. The reason for this is that government changes have meant that schools across the country are all changing the way that they teach reading. The idea behind this is to make sure that teaching in schools is more consistent across different age groups, to improve fluency in children's reading, and to give early reading a big boost in schools across the country. This will also mean that there are some changes to the ways we're asking you to read with your children at home. So hopefully this workshop is going to explain everything and support you in doing so. As a school, we have opted in to Little Wandle Letters and Sounds. This is a scheme of phonics that follows a synthetic approach, and it's also systematic. This means that phonics is taught in a very clear system to ensure that children have the best possible chance of success early on. The scheme was created by teachers working in schools, and it all started during the first lockdown when schools were trying to work out how to teach remotely at home. And it has been validated by the government, so it is an agreed scheme that the government recognises, and we're very excited to be rolling it out in our school. So, why is reading so important? Well, reading opens doors for your child. If your child can't read, they are going to struggle to access all of our subjects in school. That's why early reading is so vital. It underpins their access to the rest of the curriculum. If a child struggles to read, they're going to struggle to read questions in all of their subjects. They're going to struggle to look at a letter in history and work out what it means, or to do a problem-solving activity in maths. So it really is very important, and lots of evidence has shown that the quicker children learn to read confidently, the bigger successes that they have in their school lives. Of course, we also want children to really develop a love of reading. We want them to be readers. It should be a positive experience. It should be about enjoying their reading and about reading because they want to, not just because they have to. So as well as teaching phonics, I'm also going to talk a little bit about reading for pleasure today. So how are we going to be teaching phonics and reading at Hudson Road? Well, phonics involves matching sounds, which you might also hear being called phonemes, to letters or to groups of letters, which are the graphemes. It's basically a code for reading. It allows children to decode the meaning of the written letters and to then blend the different sounds together to make words. In school from now on, all of our children will be taught using the Little Wandle progression of phonics. This breaks down the different graphemes and phonemes into different phases and asks us to teach them in a very particular order. As well as learning the phonemes and graphemes, children will also be taught tricky words, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. They will be taught using flashcards, and you can see some of these here have pictures on them, and that is to help with their letter formation. We will talk about that a bit more later. Once children are secure with some basic Phase 2 phonemes, they will also begin to learn about digraphs. Digraphs are where two letters make one sound. So ch, sh, ng, as you can see in these pictures. This will help children to be able to read a much greater range of words. To help with this in school, we will be using little phrase cards, as you can see in this second picture. Things like for E, we have sheep in a jeep. For we have hook a book. And obviously you can see they also learn the graphemes as well. Children will also be taught to read words. It's really important that as well as reading the sounds, children actually apply these in words as quickly as possible. So they will learn things like eat, meat. You can see the sound buttons on the bottom. That's what these dots and lines are. That's to help children recognise when they have a single phoneme or when there's a digraph there, or even a trigraph. So if we were teaching the word sheep, we would first ask children to spot the digraphs, sh and e. Then we would ask them to sound talk the word, sh, e, p. Then to blend the word, sheep. As well as meeting a range of words in their phonics sessions, the children will also be taught tricky words. These are words that can't be decoded using phonics, or at least not yet. They're the words that come up a lot in sentences, words like the and go, which children need to be able to read. So let's take go for an example. Children will learn to read go quite early on in their reading learning. They will be told that it's tricky because the O makes an O sound. At this point in their learning, they'll have only seen O. Later on, they will be taught that this grapheme can be O. But for now, they're just told that it's a tricky word. I realise I've said quite a lot of different words there, so I'm just going to run through the meaning of some of the vocabulary that you might hear the children say at home or that you might want to use at home. So we've got our phoneme, which is our sound. So at the start of our lessons, we might say today's phoneme is s, or today's phoneme is ch. We have our digraphs. Digraphs are two letters which make one sound. And that's a phrase that we'll use a lot with the children in school. Two letters, one sound, digraph. And we do use the proper terminology of digraph. It's really important we're using the proper language with children. So that's things like e, and sh, two letters which make one sound. We also have our trigraph. These are three letters which make one sound. So things like I and e. If we draw attention to these and trickier words for children to read, it makes it easier for them to decode the words. You'll also hear sound talk, which is where we we talk the word using the different phonemes. Ch, sh, e, p. And then we'll also ask children to blend in their head, which is when they should be able to just read the word, blending the sounds in their head. So cat out loud. It should no longer be cat. They should just say cat. Once children have built up enough of knowledge of GPCs, that's graphemes and phonemes, and they're confidently starting to blend the words, cat, they will be ready for reading books. So before this, in reception, they might have wordless books to look at, which are all about talking about the language, developing an understanding of how to look after books, talking about all the different things they can see in the pictures, thinking of a story themselves. They will then be ready for reading books that they should be able to decode using their phonic knowledge. So, why do the books need to be decodable? This is why. If we give children books where they have not learned the phonemes and the graphemes, this is what a reading experience is like. They will only be able to recognise a few parts of the sentence, and you can imagine just how frustrating this will be for children. Once they have learned the phonemes and the graphemes that they need to be able to read this sentence, it becomes much easier. This is why we only ask children to read books where they should be able to decode 90% of the words independently. This usually means that in school, children will be reading books that matches the GPCs they've learned in the previous half term. So if in autumn 1 of reception, the children learn the s, at, p, I, n, they would be reading books using those graphemes in autumn 2 of reception. This helps children to build a confidence, to feel like reading is something they can do, which is what we want. We don't want reading to become a frustrating experience for children. So, what will we be doing in school? As well as our daily phonics sessions, we will also be doing 3 reading practice sessions using our decodable books. These are taught by a trained class teacher or by a trained teaching assistant, and they are taught in small groups. The books will be matched to your child's phonics knowledge using our assessment. We will read these books 3 times in school, and then they will be sent home. In school, we will be working on decoding. Then we will look at how to read using intonation. So for example, there was a big mess, putting that emphasis on big. And then we will look at comprehension, answering questions about the story. By the time the books will be sent home to you to read, the children will have read them 3 times. So they should be very confident reading those books by that point. Usually in school, reception would be covering phases 2 to 4, learning to recognise lots of GPCs and with a big focus on blending. Then in year 1, they cover phase 5, which is all about alternative pronunciation. So when I said before about that O and that O, looking at all the different ways we can pronounce different graphemes. In year 2, we would spend a little bit of time revising phase 5, but then we would be moving away from phonics. However, as I'm sure you all understand, the last few years of school have been very disrupted for our children and for children across the country. So, phonics at the moment is a little bit different. Due to the amount of learning missed, reception will still be starting at phase 2 and working on phases 2 through to 4 this year. But year 1 will be spending a little bit of time consolidating that missed learning from reception before they move on to phase 5. And year 2 will be revising phase 5 in more detail than they would normally. We've also got in year 2 a phonics screening check happening before Christmas. So we will be having a big push on filling all those phonics gaps in year 2. And it's really important that we're reading as much as possible at home in all year groups. So at home, your child will receive 2 books. One of these books will be their decodable book. This is the one that they should be able to read on their own. They will have read it 3 times in school. So don't worry if it seems like it's too easy for them. It isn't. It's about building up that confidence, knowing that they can decode the words and talking about what's actually happening in the story. This book will be accessible via an e-book library. As the books are very expensive to buy and as we need to use them in school, we can't send them home because it would cost too much to replace any lost or damaged books. So we have bought into the Little Wandle ebook library. What this will let us do is it will let us assign your children the correct books. If you think you're going to struggle accessing this because you don't have a device at home, please do speak to your class teacher and we can try to support you. As well as having the e-book, which is the book that the children should be able to decode, we will also be sending home a book to share. This is about a book to enjoy. So your child might not be able to read all of the words in this book. This is a book you should read together, where you can read it to them, they can try some words, you can talk about what happens. It's about sharing a book for pleasure. And this is just as important as a decodable book, because this is where you can model to them how important reading is and how fun reading can be. You can also find a lot more information about phonics and reading on the Little Wandle website. They have resources specifically for parents, including videos showing you how to say every sound, letter formation information sheets, and also videos from the teachers who created the scheme explaining more about the different parts of teaching phonics. You can see the website on the screen, and we will also be linking to various things through our Facebook page as the year goes on. So at home, we need you to listen to your children read their decodable phonics books and to fill in the reading diary that will come home with them. This is using the e-book. We also need you to read to and with your children as often as possible. Research shows that when children have reading role models, they become better readers themselves. Even if you are not a big reader, please, please, please be enthusiastic about the reading you do with your children at home. Even if the decodable books seem a bit easy, perhaps a little bit dry, it's really important that you discuss them as being exciting with your children, that you show that excitement for reading. You can also work together on letter formation using the formation rhymes and sheets that are on the Little Wandle website. They will also be coming home as a pack for you to help you. So, what next? At some point very soon, you will receive a parent information pack. This will include more advice about how to support your children at home, as well as information about how we form letters for our handwriting. We've already sent off all the information we need to Little Wandle and HarperCollins, so we should have access to the ebook library very soon. As soon as we do, we will be sharing information for you about how to access that. We'll also have some class workshops coming up where you can come and watch your children read, and we'll be offering further support in more videos later this year where we'll talk about things like how to encourage that intonation, that reading voice, and how to help children with their comprehension. I hope that everything in this video has made sense. I know there was a lot to take in, so feel free to go back and watch it again if you need to. If you have any questions about phonics and reading, please feel free to get in touch with me at my email address, which you can see on the screen, or speak to the class teacher of your child's class. We've all been trained in Little Wandle and we're all very excited to get started with it. Please do bear with us while we continue setting it up and finding our way. And please, please, please show your children at home how important reading is and how much fun it can be. Thank you very much for listening. Please, again, feel free to get in touch if you have any questions, and good luck with reading at home. Thank you.